dust is barely settling here at the ANZ Stadium, but the Lions have their first series win since 1997, I believe. I'm here with Alex Brune from Inside Rugby, who's safely returned to us, thank the Lord, from Moscow. Alex, a very dominant performance, really, and one which I don't think few people saw coming.
Well, listen, as Warren Gatland just said then at the press conference, he put his balls on the line and he delivered. It was a very, very courageous decision to drop Brian O'Driscoll, but it paid off in spades. And it was his Welsh boys, his Welsh players who lifted when they needed to, and it was the Wallabies who buckled under the pressure. And all credit to the Lions, because the Wallabies did come back in that second half and looked very dangerous. The key moment when Ben Robertson dropped the ball over the line, when the Wallabies were 2 scores behind, but if the Wallabies score then, the whole game turns around. But the Lions toughed it out and some classy finishes at the end.
Back in 2009, it was Simon Shaw who was the man of the match in that second test, but he was on the losing side today. They had a skipper in the second row as well, Alan Wynne-Jones, who, although Lee Halfpenny got the official man of the match and he was outstanding, I also thought Alan Wynne-Jones played a blinder and answered all criticism about his potential leadership style. Before the tour, he was mentioned as a potential captain of the whole tour, but today it was him who led the team out. I thought he was outstanding in every facet of the game.
I've got to agree with you. He was Titanic, except he didn't go down. He stayed afloat, and I thought he gave an awesome performance. He led from the front, and he led from really crucial times. There was a couple of crucial moments where the Wallabies were starting to get on top, and it was Alan Wynne-Jones who made a big tackle, or he made a big run. He broke through and he set the ball up, and the Lions went from that. But I guess in the end, the Lions were just more decisive. They were more clinical, and when they had the chances to score, they finished the Wallabies off. And those tries all came from Halfpenny. It was remarkable. He made the half break, got the pass inside to Sexton. He picked up the poor clearing kick from Genia and set up the try to North. And then they were probably watching for Halfpenny when Jamie Roberts broke through there at the end. So Halfpenny was decisive, of course, but absolutely Alan Wynne-Jones gave an awesome effort out there tonight.
And Gatland post-match highlighted the role which Alex Corbisiero played in it as well.
Absolutely.
I think Sean O'Brien, although he did miss the tackle on James O'Connor, he put some monumental tackles throughout the game. It's one of those things, it's very difficult now not to go overboard in this performance because it was such a surprise, and that one-sided scoreline which none of us saw coming. But I think it's only fair to give it a proper acclaim it deserves because it was such an impressive performance.
Listen, I've got to agree with you on Corbisiero. He was sadly missed in Melbourne, a huge miss in Melbourne. He was back out there, and as Gatland said, he wasn't just great at the scrum, he was great in open play as well too, and of course he scored that first try, that crucial try. And the interesting thing, of course, is that Gethin Jenkins and Cian Healy had stayed fit. Corbisiero isn't even here. So that's a really interesting thing, because Healy was probably Gatland's first choice, and Corbisiero was crucial in this series, as Martin Corrie was, as we go back to 2001, and he was a late call-up as well. But he was very important. The scrum, I mean, we've got to go back to it. That was the decisive factor, the scrum. And Romain Poit obviously got it into his mind quite early that the Wallabies were pulling it down, and he made that decision quite early, and then it just got worse and worse and worse and worse for the Wallabies. When Ben Alexander got sin-binned, that was a big point. Was after the 5th scrum penalty against the Wallabies. And then also something that was not mentioned in the press conference at all was Israel Folau going off after 25 minutes, and that was just a big moment for the Wallabies really to drop their head and just go, everything is going wrong tonight. And the key thing to me was when the pressure really went on Will Genia tonight, he just picked a bad night to have an off night, and on your very first kick-off when your star player is dropping the ball, when he's making mistakes like kicking it straight to Lee Halfpenny for that return try, it's, for him to be replaced with 14 minutes to go and Nick Phipps to come on, that said it all for the Wallabies.
And it was Ben Alexander didn't even make it to half-time, and it was Robbie Deans who made the big call on that. Fair play to him. That was a big shout to bring on sub-prop after that amount of time, and it looks like Robbie Dean straight back to the questions regarding his future in the post-match press conference, but he did look a deflated man from where I was sitting. What's your take on that one?
Listen, it's difficult to see the ARU not making a change at this point. It's difficult to see. There was, of course, Robbie is contracted till the end of the year, and the Rugby Championship is coming up, and Robbie was putting on a brave face there, and I guess the board of the ARU and Bill Pulver, the CEO, will discuss the situation and make a choice. And there are some excellent candidates. There's Ewan McKenzie, who's done a wonderful job with the Reds, and also Jake White, who's done a great job with the Brumbies. But what the Wallabies missed today, and listen, we've also got to mention, and this is not making excuses, David Pocock was not there, and he would have been very, very important tonight. Scott Higginbotham wasn't there, and those are 2 huge players for the Wallabies, and they weren't there. So it's not making excuses, but we need to remember that Robbie didn't have a call on those players. But the players that Robbie's relied on, the James O'Connors, the Kurtley Beals, when the pressure was really on there today, they couldn't find the reserves to bring it up. And I don't blame the players. I think the players did everything they could tonight, but the structure was not there. And
yeah, and it was a bizarre sight seeing the Australian faithful strolling out. 15 minutes left on the clock. It's not something the ARU would have enjoyed watching. But I think it's fair to say that as a series, Australia has embraced the Lions eventually. It took its time. But tonight definitely the Wallabies outnumbered the Lions. Do you think this is the sort of, we all saw the impact the 2001 tour had on them, but that was kind of those players coming to an end of a generation that won a World Cup 2 years before. Now Australia moves on from the Lions, they've got the Rugby Championship. Is this something they can now harness, do you think?
Well, listen, I think this has been wonderful for Australian rugby. I mean, the only thing that's gone wrong is the result tonight, really. The support that the Lions have got, the interest. This has been the biggest game of rugby in Australia in 10 years, of course, and the last one was 2003, and we lost that as well. But yes, it's a key moment for Australian rugby, and I think what needs to happen now is that a clear vision needs to be articulated going forward for the next couple of years until 2015, which will be played in the Northern Hemisphere, and when the scrum will be important. We can't hide it anymore. We can't turn away from it anymore. We need to be able to scrum. And if we can scrum, then the backs will cut everybody to ribbons, but we need to be able to scrum. So, either Robbie has to sit down and articulate for us a clear vision of the way forward, and he needs to be able to then put that into place. And if Robbie's the right man to do that, then great. We should move forward with that, but we need a clear vision for Australian rugby to how we're going to turn around from tonight.
Well, I think the Lions will enjoy the next 48 hours. They don't fight until Tuesday, so Sydney Bars better beware. But Alex, thanks so much for all your help over the last few weeks. It's been emotional, and I'm ready to just about fall over now. But thanks a lot.
Well, it's been great, Tom. And let's just one word of that. Let's hope that events don't happen over the next 48 hours, which tarnish this great tonight, because it could be carnage out there. So watch out.
And on that note, I think we should bring it to close. And that's all from ESPN Scrum. In Sydney on the mic, but keep your eyes on the website.